Good to go. Go.
Hello. Yeah, I started, but we don't have anyone in here yet.
17, it starts now. And just open.
I started, but we don't have anyone here, which is
18.
my disturbing.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. So can you open it now for everybody, or?
It is open for everyone now.
Okay.
So, hi everyone. Give us a minute until we come to bearings. I need to refresh my browser. Give me 1 second here. Daniel, maybe until then you can do the quick intro on we had the talk and we're starting with the workshop.
I'm gonna do the quick intro and we will let people join in. So thank you for joining the debate and hopefully listening also to the debate on different topics. We want to start now, and I'm going to share with you a Miro board where we're going to work on, where we can all jointly together push the topic forward in the direction of integrating UX into SAFe. So let me quickly open the proper window. So what you're going to see now, and what I'm going to share in a second in the chat, you see a famous Miro board with already some people on the board.
I can share the link.
Yeah, you share
Danny. Yeah, I'll share it. It's okay. Or can I? No, because we need it from you. I believe. No, it should be good. Sorry.
Okay. So we had this previous debate, which we're going to take as an input, and we now follow on with the workshop where we're going to go deeper into the topic of how to improve actually SAFe and UX integration. So let us first start after this debate, and just while people still coming in to the debate, I let you pick what kind of team you are in, rather on the view of Luke or rather in the view of Jeff.
And in case you didn't attend the talk, the whole point is that Jeff was rather skeptical, or is rather skeptical of SAFe, and Luke believes that it's although not perfect, but it gets the job done well. So just put your initials on a post-it and put yourself somewhere, which might even represent sort of how far you lean toward one or the other. All right, very good. I think that most people have placed themselves somewhere on the map. Awesome. So the other thing that we wanted to do, just to get to know sort of the group a bit better, and also so that the group gets to know itself a bit better, is below that board where you were just filling in which way you lean, pun intended. We have another one which looks at whether you are working in a small organization or a large one, and whether you are a safe novice or a safe old-timer. And with the novice and old-timer, we mean you personally, not necessarily organization. And just grab one of the dots and put yourself where you see yourself fitting. No names or anything required here. I think we have some people from IBM or something way up in the large organization set. Very good. That is unsurprising to see that most people are in large organizations, so that's good. I am guessing that also those who are putting themselves into the smaller one are working with larger ones, and sort of that's why also they are here and interested in the topic. So very good, and let's now take a breather and introduce to you what we plan to do in the next 2 hours or so. We just came off a discussion with Jeff Gotthelf and Luke Hochman discussing around the topic. If you could not join that, we actually have we'll have a recording of it, so we will share it, but we even have a quick summary of it that we will discuss afterwards. And that was really sort of more high level, discussing mostly around Scaled in general, Scaled Agile in general, trying to touch up on also some UX specific topics and the role of UX designers in it. And what we'd like to do is gradually get closer and closer into specific hands-on things. So what we'll do first is, or I don't know if Danny, you want to talk over the main sections?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Just to say, so the idea is actually starting a global exchange and learn from each other how we can cope with it, and also have some specific ideas, and also maybe prevent some feedback back also to SAFe, so how we perceive the world. So what we're in here now, we're in the introduction, so we're starting in AirMeet. We will then do a such called inspect session, where we have 4 elements, 4 streams, which we'll use to define which topics we want to work on in smaller groups. And then we will do some kind of breakout rooms, which we call adapt, where we think about, okay, those are struggles, issues, topics that work well. How can we foster topic that works well? And how can we improve stuff that doesn't work so well? With the goal that actually we can contribute as UX persons in the whole topic. So this is the approach we're doing. Importantly, we switch between AirMeet to Zoom because due to breakout rooms. So if you go further, what's really important for us, we want to have an open exchange. We try to time box. So for those living in Switzerland or in Central Europe, so at least you can get to bed at 11 o'clock or getting outside if you want. We want also to openly share between each other. So we want to learn from each other. If you have questions, just raise your hand. We will invite you to the floor to ask those questions. You all not only need to talk, you also can participate or vote by Post-it, as usual, as your questions, which you can pick out. If you're on the stage, we would love, if it's possible, it's also privacy, okay, share share your face. And if you're not in AirMeet, in the other place, then please mute your microphone. So little point. So, but what I also want to say, we have an amazing group of facilitators helping us out from different places. Peter and I, we're starting, but I think we have the big team here behind us, which helps us that we actually get through in 2 hours, like Tonya, Frank, Susan, and Leo. But what I'm even more, happy about is that we have some contributors, Anna, Ron, Claudia, Brad, and Joe, which tell us in short 5-minute pitches what works well, where they work on in this topic of SAFe, because it's really important also to discuss about lived experiences and how to bring topic forward. So thanks them already for your short inputs. So now we can actually move over to the big topic which we have and say, that's the next slide of the board, getting into the inspect mode. And the inspect mode has 4 elements in it. And as you will see, we go through the inputs you gave us via Eventbrite. Then we want to map stuff where we think works well, where we have issues. Then we have this fabulous inputs from our colleagues here. And then we have a short input. Susan listened to the debate, made some issues. So we have 4 input elements, which then are clustered. Here, thanks to Leo already, he clusters it. So we can vote then on them. So we can later on, which is going to the right, work together in breakout rooms to improve the whole element. So, but let me now first start with the first section, which I want to start with you. And that's, I'm going to hide the cursors so you don't see everybody running around, just me and Ellen already adding a point. We looked at all the topics you wrote to us back. So, and what kind of feedback did we get during that storyline in a way? We asked for a rating for 1 to 10, and so people rated it around 3.8 from 10 in a way. But we also asked back, Peter and I, with smaller ratings. Sometimes people even said, hey, I'm working already in that topic, but I'm not that feeling sure. So I just said I vote a 1 on clarity of the whole.
And this was the expertise of people rating themselves in the SAFE topic. And yes, there was a specific example where someone put a 2, and then it turned out that they're actually working on a software to help track SAFE. So it's a subjective number, but definitely was a wide range. But I think that also from the previous board we saw sort of how familiar and expert level people feel about SAFE.
So a huge topic people were asking or saying, what are your current issues? It's about understanding SAFE, so getting to know how it works. Another one is also implementing, because we're many companies starting with the topics. A second one, which has more red dots, was about perception of bureaucraticness or complexity within the system. Then a huge topic always is about, so what do we do with UX research? Something Luke touched and the end implicitly on it. Then also sometimes struggling with different mindsets between engineering and UX or other disciplines in a way. And finally, this huge question, so what's the place in different dimensions, how to integrate UX into SAFE? Is it on a team level? Is it in a train level? Is it on a shared service level? Is it on a portfolio level? Issues around that. So those were the main issues we had in a discussion somehow, as I clustered them around the different stuff. One special one, because I thought it was very interesting, it also relates a little bit to my topics, I don't know who wrote it. It's also the question of not always we have teams that are connected all together. We have sometimes suppliers, other teams, and how to integrate them into SAFE. But that was a one-time issue which caught my attention in a way. Good, thank you. So those are somehow the topics which are on our mind if we ask you what are your current issues regarding to SAFE. But because we're in a workshop, this is your first contribution. We also want to have a second contribution now. And that question is a different one. And this is one I showed you in the beginning, 2 maps. 2 core maps, a business agility overview with the several elements. And I took the biggest configuration just to have everything on it. You have also the big map about SAFE topics. Now, what we want to ask you, and we provide you 5 minutes now, is to take a dot here and say, okay, I think we can build on a certain element. For example, we can build on quality. That works for me quite well, because with that, I was able to tell, hey, we need to do more usability testing or something else. We need to check before we go out. Or you can say, hey, actually, we somehow tried out something else. We tried out to work on continuous exploration, but we continuously fail because of time constraints or else. So what I ask you now is, in the 5 minutes, take out points, and we cluster a little bit around those maps, stuff where we think we should build on, and stuff we need improvement. I think for the whole workshop, it's very important to always see both sides. So let's go ahead. And music from Peter.
A bit over a minute left. So if you feel that there's parts of the map that you haven't explored that yet, then do look around.
So time's up, and we're gonna use this input later on. What I love in the first view is that people put red and green dots on similar issues, so at least some found solutions, others struggled. So we actually can learn a lot from each other and how to move forward. So in a great way. And we're gonna use those inputs then to focus on what kind of topics we wanna go. But now we really go a little bit again in a listening mode, except for those presenting. And I will kindly ask Peter to put Ron Huyssen on the board. Ron Huyssen will tell us a little bit about his story in 5 minutes. I give you 5 minutes breakout time as soon as you're on the floor.
So Ron, I invited you, so you should see a pop-up that says you've been invited and you have joined the stage. Yes, a success.
Great, can everybody hear me?
You, and then once you told us about you are going to start the watch. Hi, Ron. Thanks a lot.
Hey, everyone, and thank you for the nice introduction and also the nice word. Yes, I'm Ron Huyssen. I'm working, let's say, nowadays in agile environment and design thinking and UX and UI design more than, I think, 15 years before. I've also, let's say, coming from the university and grew up as a designer. My first contact in UX design was, let's say, in 2010. So I worked in a big telecommunication company here in Switzerland. And my current position, it's a little bit, I'm working not anymore on the telecommunications side, let's say more or less in a big banking environment. And in both of these large companies, we worked in the safe environment. But I think also in this topic a little bit in a different way. So I would like to share with you, let's say, my thought, my things, what I learned a little bit. And I would like to start with the green Post-its. I think understand instead of copying and start prototyping new ways of working. So what I mean with that, I think we have it also in the introduction phase from before, whereas Jeff and the other guy have a nice chat about this topic. So I think in both of these large companies, I learned safe is not written in stone. That means based on your company, based on your culture and your agile maturity, be flexible and be how to implement the safe process to your organization. So what's really, really important is to have a strong learning culture and also for methods in your teams. So in our art, we use retro to adapt the processes and small things, yes, sometimes what we can change and learn. And for example, how to improve it, we can use it in a review session and adapt it then later for one of these arts when we see, okay, this is a really good success, what we would like to improve. We start sharing our learnings in a broader way. We call it community of praxis in our monthly meeting. So, and then in the end, we updated, let's say, with this prototype of new working, the whole playbook, how the company knew safe. And let's close it also in the end. Safe alone, it doesn't work. I think you have to create your own playbook, how to work and how to run safe or the safe process in your organization. My next point a little bit, okay, I have to go a little bit faster, is ready for sprint. You hear it as also before, for example, from what works well, what I mean with this quote, deliver every second week on time, how to handle research, prototyping and feedback loops, decision making that could be overwhelmed. So especially in the beginning of a really big project where scope is unclear and goals or OKRs are so unsure, and the status of a concept is constantly changing every day. This is a really good start that's a really good start to jump in directly in an art or in a deliverables mode. So I think here we can definitely, let's say, rework this process. And what I mean with that, so we introduce in our organization more or less an idea of business sprints. That means before we get to the real implementation, we have a stage what it calls pre-implementation. And in the pre-implementation phase, our goal is to have things clear, that we're not burned, let's say, all our costs in a real environment. And business sprints is the moment where we designers comes in and show our, let's say, full power and the full momentum. That means we work with our UX services like design sprint, UX mapping, research, or UX testing, and create the fundamental of each of these projects. You can name also, we create, let's say, the beginning of a product vision in this area. So business sprints is to have for us the same structure as normal sprints, but without the implementation phase. We're working also in 2 sprints, as in 2-week sprints. We have at the end an outcome, and also we validate the concept with the technical lead, but we not build it at the moment. For us is to check if we build the right concept, and if the concept on, let's say, on the good stage where we see, okay, we have everybody agreed, everybody's there, and then we start to sprint and start with implementation phase where we have a dedicated development team and all what it's needed to have and build a really cool product. And also ready for sprint, my other topic is, so should we really be synchronized with these 2-week sprints? So often I feel this, okay, you have to be a lot of pressure to delivering on time and often, so that we're thinking about be asynchronous. That means create your own puffer in a sprint and have to be backup for 2 weeks, so that you can see, thinking about, I could introduce, let's say, or could use for this time user testing, or this is also really, really important. We forget it sometimes in these 2-week sprints. You get an extra free time when you have one sprint buffer, yeah, for deep thinking and also to be laser focused without groomings, without the other needed session when it comes to Agile, to have, let's say, an extra space for your time. Oh, I have only a second. Can I have 1 or 2 minutes more, or?
I give you another minute, but
okay.
we have short inputs, and we also, the important stuff is we can go later into breakout rooms, and we can go more deeper into this topic. So because we also want to engage public. So
okay.
I give you another minute, okay?
I make it short, only 1 minute. Okay, yeah, it's the last. Okay. I think, and also the interesting topic. It's the whole idea of the space and Agile environment is be empowered as a designer and as an engineer. So what I personally like is this empowerment of the whole team. The idea of the ideal world, the team could make product decision, but what it means be between accountable and also be responsible. And when a senior manager or a sponsor of the product roll in and overrule the team decision, what happens when 8 developers or sometimes in these arts argue against the designer? And in my thinking, it's not a fault of SAFe. For me, it's a very human topic. It's trust. And this is a little bit also my question. What I like to inspire one of our discussion is how we gain this trust in our art from the group or from the senior management. I think that's it a little bit so from my side.
Thanks.
Thank you.
First input, and I think many points on the debate, so how it's perceived on a daily basis. Now, I kindly ask Anna, or actually Peter, to put Anna on the floor, and Anna tells us her experiences and also in that element. And I think we're going to get thanks around time for discussion on these elements, but we wanted to have some lightning talks for different elements.
We should have Anna joining, and the good news is that Ron stayed on, so I think, or maybe not. Yes,
no,
he did. Okay, sure. Very good. I'll remove you. This was we were testing so far on whether we can have multiple people, but I think we can because you've been made speaker, so that's perfect. And I will remove you for now, Ron, and hand over to Anna.
Hello, hello everyone. The time, okay. Okay, my name is Anna. I'm from Brazil. Thank you, 24 hours. UX invite me. I have 5 years focus on digital transformation and SAFe implementations. I currently work in a digital transformation at bank. Is a big bank in Brazil. I am summarize the notes. My main lessons are that UX culture integration for business strategy to delivery ensures consistency and value of deliveries. we are able to make this integration of UX teams more efficient by understanding to specialize strategies, designers, researchers, and writers, and maturity level to understand which framework layer and the UX with full potential. At the program level, product strategy, we work with aligning of the business experience and the technology areas to understand to write MVP and increments. We co-create using many methods and methodologies depending on the context. UX friendly artifacts in the program layer are extremely important for everyone to have the same focus. We make continuous improvement with new experiments according to the group's insights. We have already worked on UIs with the development teams to ensure fast changeovers, consistency, and also help with Q&A. In iterations and PI, cross UX teams are very strategic. SAFe involves many disciplines. Training is essential. Adapting process to a context is very important for success. Thank you so much. Daniel, Peter?
Yes. Any specific learning that you have had in implementing SAFe? Any like very specific piece that worked for you? So, for example, previously Ron mentioned that they tried these doing business sprints before the implementation sprints. Is there some similar sort of either adaptation or something that really worked well in your organization, or maybe some existing part of SAFe that really helped push the whole thinking in the organization?
In the face-to-face and the virtual?
Either.
In my experience, I have 12 PI planning in face-to-face, and 5 PI plannings in remote. Depends the many tools. Is very important tools, and the training, the participants, and the I'm sorry. My English is not good. I understand, but explain is very.
No problem at all.
It's very complicated for me.
You can write down. You can add another post-it to your section if there's something specific you'd want to add. So thank you very much for the input. And yeah, I mean, maybe you believe your English is not good, or Portuguese is terrible. So there you have it.
Sorry, but I can send me and explain a lot.
Sure, perfect.
In many details.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I'll move you back to the groups, but don't go anywhere because we'll continue partly in writing and in discussion. So we love to have you here.
Yes.
And
so next step is to Brett and Joe. And they actually, if you read something, they have a link. I recommend it to use it. Just newly after we announced our workshop, I saw this link on using human-centered design with SAFe, and I'm really keen to also listen to your learnings and what you did and what works in those elements. So, Brad, now we can take both on.
I'm trying to right now. I invited Joe as well.
All right. So while they're doing that, I'll give it a little bit of a start. There's a link up there, but I wanted to start with this idea because it came up with Luke and Jeff, which is so. First of all, I put some of the challenges and some of the learnings that we faced. A lot of these are more about communication and change management than they are necessarily about structure, although we have a couple of structural suggestions as well. So the first is this idea that culture eats strategy for breakfast. That's an old, I want to say, Peter Drucker saying.
Exactly right.
And what it alludes to was something that I think Luke was talking about. No, maybe Jeff was talking about it when he was talking about, like, we provide the means to show that the plan isn't working or the outcomes aren't going the way that we expect. And a lot of times there's a resistance to doing that because there is a resistance to moving away from the plan. And if that's the culture, then no amount of framework, whether it's light framework or more sophisticated framework, is going to change that. And that is an HCD problem, but it's also a SAFe problem, an Agile problem. Like, the whole point of this is to learn and to improve. In that, trying to shift people towards learning and improving, one of the things that I've got down here is that HCD and Agile and SAFe, with that, have very sympathetic goals. It's that the idea is that you want to learn about your products, and how well they're going to work as quickly and cheaply as possible. So, if you're all doing it in the solution space, if you're thinking about, I'm going to deliver this feature or that feature as quickly as possible, get to an MVP so I can get feedback, well, that is one way to learn. And sometimes that's the cheapest way to learn. And sometimes that's actually quite expensive when you could actually go out with a paper prototype or a clickable prototype and get feedback faster and learn that, no, you're going down the wrong direction a little sooner. And that's like that idea that we're both trying to face this sort of same learning problem is something that I have found resonates and is sympathetic when you start talking to business owners, when you start wanting to get them on board with that pivot, that shift in thinking to outcomes rather than just, are we delivering as quickly as we can, as efficiently as we can. And one of the things that I do, if you go to the top here, this is one of the questions that I ask a lot. And it sounds like a gotcha, but it's not, because they're actually, both answers are sometimes fully valid. If you release your product, your feature, the thing that we're working on, and customers are confused, disappointed, just don't quite get it, is this a success because you can iterate on it, because you've, proven functionality, because, there's something to work from and you're learning? Or is it failure because, there's a reputational risk, or there's a, the visibility is just too high, or too many people were depending on this at that date? And the answer to that question is the stakes of your release. And the stakes are going to determine how much investment you put in ahead of the release in knowing how well your product will do versus how much you're willing to do evaluation after the release and iterate. Because that's, the evergreen answer is, well, we're going to release and iterate. Well, sometimes that's a great way to go. Sometimes it isn't a great way to go. Two of the things actually at the bottom right that have worked, by the way, I never said this. Joe and I work for the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services. So this is government agency work, but it is a large organization. two of the things that have really worked out for us as we've been building a home for HCD within SAFE here. One is to build a research runway that looks a lot like the architectural runway. Luke talked about having time dislocated participation. Well, this was our way to build work that gets consumed later. And to start talking to people about what kind of time is required for it. So, you know, if you're doing discovery, if you're doing user research, that's going to be further ahead. If you're doing usability testing or you're doing some kind of validation, solution validation, that's going to have to actually align to what gets built sometimes, or sometimes you can do it prior to actually building it, depending on what it is. But that idea of having a research runway and being able to talk about, okay, this feature is going to need, you know, solution validation. This feature is going to need problem validation or discovery. It really made it easy to see, you know, how much research work is there, which projects are depending on it, etc. I'm going to shift over to this other thing that I've been doing as a culture accelerator. It is 2-day workshops, and they're not quite design sprints and they're not quite workshops, but I have managed to get a 1-day workshop devoted to problem framing, problem definition, and importantly, including some end users in there so that product owners, developers, they all hear directly from users when they talk about, well, this is what we're trying to accomplish. This is what it means to someone. I have had people say, yeah, that's not going to work for me because, and it really pivots from delivery back to problem and solution and outcome. It's been a really effective tool. That the second day ends up being, you know, some sort of collaborative ideation, and the light bulbs start to go on that, you know, the fact that you have an idea of a product you're going to build doesn't mean it actually necessarily works and is understood. Can I get like 1 more minute? The other thing that I would have is especially, and I'm gonna, you know, not beat up on Joe or Agilus or anyone else, but one of the things that has taken the longest to explain, one of the challenges in communication, are getting to that idea that there is a difference between activities and artifacts. So, you know, you'll see, and in SAFE, you'll see, like, we should have personas, we should have journey maps, we should have these things that are the outputs of customer centricity. But sometimes you have to explain to teams, to product owners, you cannot just tell a UX person, hey, I need a persona, and have them deliver you one. It's not a piece of code. You actually, the activity, the discovery, the talking, the whatever it is that you're doing to learn, actually has to precede the artifact. And like that understanding going along with the research runway is where we've sort of hit some strides. All right, I think I covered just about everything on my board. And if not, I'm happy to talk more about any of them as we go.
No, thanks a lot. And I think we also have then the breakout rooms and, you know, element in it. And also asking you questions. You're also joining the workshop room, so about these particular issues. And again, as told in the beginning, the article provides a nice overview over such topics. So thanks again, Brad and Joe. And now let's move to Claudia. Claudia will present us something which we heard also a little bit from Luke, in a way, railway industry, and she works for different industries in this domain, different companies in this domain, and what she learned on applying SAFE within this framework. Claudia, the floor is yours.
So, hello together. Also, thanks for the invitation. My name is Claudia Krummenacher. I am a business analyst and UX architect. I work for business-to-business software, enterprise software for different railway companies, as Daniel said. it's kind of a special environment to make software, because those products tend to have long development time, long life cycles. They tend to have a lot of business rules, and so
I believe you don't need to excuse the domain, and I believe that a lot of people who are in the session are more than familiar with these kinds of setups, because this is very often where SAFe actually finds itself, rather than sort of simple websites.
Yeah. So, and with this work, I found myself now for the second time in a situation where the company working on the software actually is implementing SAFe as a framework. To be honest, both times, for me personally, for my work, not much changed. We were using Scrum already with different teams. My job was already to walk from team to team and work with them together. So I was not team member, but I had, let's say 4 to 5 teams I was working with all the time. They didn't have in-house designers inside the teams, so it was kind of just me. Now that with SAFe, I find myself inside an art, which gives me kind of less flexibility. Before, I was able to a little bit more cherry pick to do whatever task was needed with certain teams. Now, what's good now is the responsibility got quite clear. I'm responsible for this art, and I'm not like this free-floating element anymore that nobody's really knowing what I'm doing. And I think when we had to put our name between pro and against SAFe, I put it quite in the middle, a little bit more to the Luke side. But because I think it's a framework, it's not responsible for implementing the UX maturity of an organization. This has to come from somewhere else, from some other work, and it has to grow. And I don't think SAFe is the tool to mature UX in an organization. I wouldn't know how it could accomplish it. What I really liked was what Ron said, for example, to have a playbook, so with iterations to talk about it, to make UX in the organization better and better. And what else? What works for me is actually, I talk a lot to people. Maybe it sounds trivial, but it is like this. When we have a PI planning, I go to every single product owner and ask him, what do you want from me for this PI? What should we do? Do we have a plan? Send me the stories where you need some impact, or where you need some pictures or whatever. And what also is good to have a good community and a good network, because I'm as I said, I'm the only UX person in the whole art. So I need to have a good network with the other arts. We have regular meetings. We have the discussions together how we do things. This is helping.
I congratulate you for being the only UX person on the art. That must be quite a challenge. And Joe is writing as well, your art needs more UX people, and that's probably true. One question I would have, because I noticed that we have a bit of time left, because you're right, and you're saying that the conversations and then the integration of UX works well. Do you find it that it works equally well on all levels within the SAFe setup, or it works better with developers and deteriorates going up, or maybe the other way around?
No, it deteriorates on both sides. Imagine having contact with like 100 developers. Of course, some of them I know personally that it works really well. Also, it tends to work better with the ones I was able to drink some coffee 1.5 years ago in person. With new ones, it's a little bit more difficult, but we get there. And on the other side, like with the art and the diesel management, it works good talking to them, but of course, because I'm a single person, it's not possible to really work with them on a strategy or really make workshops with them. There's no time for that. So I don't blame them. So yeah, I wouldn't know how to do it either. So at all.
Sure, no problem. Thank you very much. And sorry, Danny, that I made Claudia go over time.
No, thanks a lot, Claudia. And so we had those 4 inputs. And as you see, Mr. Leo already started to push on topics below. So I'm going to lock the screen once he finished it with topics we could work on. But now, finally, I'd like to ask you, Peter, to put Susan on the floor. She also listened to the debate, and we're curious what she took with her, which we could take with us for the breakout rooms. Susan, are you not yet on the floor? Now, thank you.
She was putting audio and video on. Hey, Claudia. Susanna, sorry.
Hello.
Hello.
You can hear me, okay, but you can't see me. Here we go. Okay. I had to say yes to so many windows. Sorry for that. Okay, I listened to the debate and I want to make a little wrap up for you. So as I understood, lovely Jeff on the right side explained to us, okay, at the beginning we have in common that we want to build a great product. Okay, we agree on that, I think, and Luke also agreed on that. But UXers struggle to influence the organization or to implement themselves and their practices into SAFe. And his own answer is he himself does not know how to do it. So he has no idea how to implement UX practices to SAFe. His criticism on SAFe is not only on implementing UX, but also on the point of view having on agility. So he says there's a bias towards delivery and predictability instead of learning and agility. What is a fundamental criticism, I think. And what his observation is that organizations don't assess success of SAFe, and they feel that they have invested a lot to implement it to the organization. So it's a recipe and organizations want to stick with the plan. Then we have Luke on the other side who says any notion of a destination is suspect. And agile is not like eating. You are not done with one dinner. I think this is an epic one-liner we should note for each other. And he also said at the beginning of his speech that there's a difference between a definition and a practice. And he said this with different words in his speech all the time, that in the end, the framework is not evil itself, but you can use it in a quite strange way. And he would recommend when you want to implement UX to SAFe, if you want to have the power to decide, become a product manager. So this is the critical role to decide on practices. And he recommends to be there. This reminds me of a sentence Don Norman said. He also said, when you want to promote UX, see that you get promoted. So it's something like that. Second strategy is to integrate the UX persons or people to your definition of the Agile team. So the Agile team consists of developers. So why not define that one of them is a UX person? And what he also recommended is to read his article about continuous exploration. So it's always a good point to recommend the own novels. So this was what I understood. They are good friends and they don't want to attack each other, but still at the end, Jeff does not know how to implement UX to SAFe. And we have Luke with the 3 strategies at the end. So if you are interested in my opinion, I have a long question. So possibly the issue could be that SAFe pretends to have a plan to implement UX through all the materials, through the images and visualizations, but does not have a plan for this. And perhaps SAFe is in fact agnostic about UX work and would better say that it is agnostic about that so that we are free to find our own way to approach this. Perhaps this is something we can learn from it or ask ourselves.
Perfect timing and a nice topic for further debate with 2 options. Also, living in an agnostic world can give you more power to do what you want or otherwise. Thanks a lot. Really nice summary on the end. So now I'd like to hand over to Leo. Leo prepared what we all discussed, and he's gonna run us through, and then it's the hard time to select some topics for further exchange in this large, amazing group of different people that we can move forward. Leo, I'll ask Peter to put you on
I am
stage.
already inviting him, and as he's turning off his camera and mic, I just wanted to say that great work.
You can move all below, and I'm gonna now lock the stuff beyond, so you can't destroy his elements. But coming from all this debate, Leo, figure out some boxes which we could work on. And of course, you
all
can
right. So hi everyone, my name is Leo. Thanks for being with you. It was great so far, and I'd like to read out some yellow boxes to you. So in the meanwhile, I tried to make sense and dense down what we've heard and discussed so far, and I tried my best to make it in more or less, let's say, well-distributed elements that don't have too much overlap. Well, but in the end, I guess within SAFe, they all have a bit of overlap. With these yellow boxes, we will then later on work within the groups. So I hope you have, these yellow boxes will help you to pick a topic to later on work within. I'll start with the first one and try not just to read them out loud, but also maybe give a bit of context why I chose them. A bunch of them were already predefined by the core team, so thanks for that. First one is, what's the role of UX experts in SAFe from UX activities to coordinate with the trios? As you can see in the SAFe framework, there are a couple of, let's say, leadership trios that have leadership over a certain stage, how to empower the UX people to go within this or to coordinate this era. Next up is what to do with the UX research. This has been here before. I picked up on the idea of the research runway. Maybe this can be integrated here as well. Next up, I chose a topic from lots of the red dots on the SAFe framework map, which is the whole topic around evidence and metrics. So how to deal with metrics, how to deal with building quality, and how to generally, as also Jeff put it, define success and measure it. Maybe not just the product success, but also the success of how we deal with the framework. Speaking of framework, the next one is how to make use or approach the design thinking framework. and leverage the culture of working, the new culture of working we are hoping to get with design thinking, like Ron mentioned with the prototyping culture, design sprints, and so forth. I chose to put customer centricity in a separate thing, although it is put very close next to each other in the framework. To my understanding, it is rather about the general UX framework, about a main understanding of methodologies, mental models, and maybe also processes around customer centricity. Another idea that was added was doing business sprints before implementation sprints. I think, Peter, that was you who added this one here, right? But I think it still fits quite
indeed.
quite well.
Can you hear me, by the way?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So yes, I discussed with Daniel in the background, and I wanted to add that because it's something that in other organizations I was part in, we also tried, and it seemed that they implemented it successfully. We had some challenges, and I think it's worthwhile if other people are also interested to discuss it.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. Yeah, I think that really adds a lot. Thank you. And as Jeff and Luke have been discussing about the tendency towards delivery, I think it's a great observation of all of us that we miss out on the topic of continuous exploration and how to deal with it. So that would be the next point to address. And a kind of meta topic is of course the whole idea around creating a shared mindset and culture, not just within UX people or among the UX people, but also with engineers, leaders of all kind, and other people within the organizations. And as Claudia also mentioned, how to build good relationships with them. Then more on the inside view, how to drive and manage change as a UX person or UX team, oftentimes with a lack of influence within the organization at a certain starting point. And next up, the idea where UX is located and how organization-wise it could or should be set up, and how to deal with the related responsibilities that come with the setup. Embedding UX art activities and processes, artifacts, and ceremonies is another box that came up, especially with a focus on the how, the with whom, the when, and the where. And last up, I took another topic from the SAFe map, which is the whole idea around portfolio visioning, road mapping, UX strategy. So thinking about the how to manage the what before we manage the how in the big factory of SAFe. And that would be it from my side.
Thank you, Leo. So I'm gonna prepare a vote on that. I'm gonna give you 3 votes if I manage the UX of Miro. No, that's my main goal. And then we're gonna vote on that. Later on, our facilitators will pick a topic and we move as it belongs to another technology. So we explore also the UX of another technology. But now I'm gonna focus on setting the voting up and over to Peter to tell something while I set up the voting.
Okay, so there will be a critical point coming up in a few minutes, which is our transition to Zoom, which will be which we've seen sort of break a bit, and we hopefully won't lose many of you. So we'll keep this one open as well. So I'll remain in between the two things so that if you can't make it, I can help you get over to Zoom. But basically what we'll want you to do is we will have a link here in the Miro, which will take you to Zoom. And there, once you arrive, you will need to join a breakout room. And the way we will have it is that, as mentioned by Daniel, we will bring on the screen one by one the workshop or the breakout room facilitators. And they will pick a topic from those that have been voted by you and bring it to their room. So room number 1 will be by Antonina, room number 2 by Leo, number 3 by Susanna, number 4 by Frank, and number 5 by Danielle and myself. And in those rooms, we'll be discussing, but basically when you link or when you get to Zoom, you'll basically need to go to the breakout rooms, which is in the bottom, click on that, and you'll see all these rooms, like room number 1, Antonina, and so on, listed with the name and the name of the person, number of the room, and you'll need to pick one of those there just by hovering over and saying join. So I trust this will work properly and well. But first, we do some voting.
So the voting started now, and you should be able to vote now. You see below on your image, you see a voting finger, and you could now vote. Yeah, I won't vote, so I can keep my voting secrecy. 3 votes.
How much more time, Danielle?
It's written below. It should be another 2 minutes. So also short break before we then move to the breakout rooms.
Danny, how many minutes will we spend in the breakouts? We aim for 40?
We spent till, I say, 4:45, so I would say 30 minutes, yeah.
Okay, so
Or
30, 35.
So we can also extend. So the voting should be finished in a second. Peter also copied Zoom link then to the chat once we change.
Yes, I can do that as well, I hope.
Now we still have to decide whose voting results are guilty, yours or mine.
I won't say what results I get, so not to confuse.
No.
Just for everyone, earlier we had another session where we saw different results in the same Miro.
Mm-hmm. So another 30 seconds and then we're ready, and then so.
And I think that we can pretty much wrap up.
Okay, so I'll do end voting for all. So the result will be shown and for all. So you should get results as soon as possible.
I see them already.
Yeah, I'm gonna open the board. So this time I think we're on the same map. So 10 votes for portfolio vision. Then we have similar topics, then 9 votes on how to bring UX into continuous exploration, 8 what is the role of UX, 8 what to do with UX research, and then it goes down to 7 how to create a shared mind center culture. So now the process is the following. And we ask now Tonya to join the stage and tell us which topic you're going to work in which breakout rooms.
We hear you and see you.
Hello, everyone. Yes, so I would like to be on the portfolio vision and road mapping UX strategy. So managing the what before the how, and I'm going to be in the breakout room number 1. And you can put your name on the post-its there, so you know that you have a spot in the room.
Exactly. We didn't mention that, but every room has sort of limited spots, and you can take a seat in the breakout room here, just indicating sort of where you want to go by just going and putting your name on one of those purple seats right there, as Danny's showing right now.
Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you, Tanya.
See you in room number 1.
Yeah.
The next person is Leo, correct?
Yes.
Bring Leo on stage as well, just so everyone sees him as well.
So thanks, Peter. I guess I will just follow the count and we'll pick the next one, which is how to bring UX into continuous exploration and how to deal with it in room number 2. So anybody who's interested, feel free to grab a chair.
Thank you. Now I will bring Claudia, I believe.
No, Susan.
Oh, okay, almost.
And Frank.
Okay, so Susan.
Don't forget to copy it to your room.
I would like to go with a research question. So what to do with UX research? So pick your chair at room 3 to have an interesting talk about that.
Okay. Thank you. And Danny, right now the topics are locked, so I think
them. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. And so Tanya and Suzanne and Leo, I'll ask to actually grab the topic that you picked and just put it on your breakout room. And then
let's go for Frank now.
we go for Frank.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. A bit dark here, sorry for that. I would pick the 6.6 voted how to make user approach the design thinking framework and leverage the culture of working in room 4.
So yes, Frank, which one do you pick?
So you couldn't hear me?
No.
I pick the design thinking framework with the 6 votes. How to make user approach the design thinking framework.
Good. So Peter and we will pick the last one. Or should we, because we have so many, we could also join between the rooms.
Yeah, maybe that's better because
we walk between the rooms. That's good.
Yeah.
So for the debate, you have now around 30 minutes within these rooms. If you finished one topic, of course, you're free to pick another topic as a group within, then you decide yourself. But your moderators will now help you, and we're gonna try out to switch to Zoom and move to the breakout rooms. So see you. Thank you for joining AirMeet. We do all the rest now in Zoom.
Yeah, and I will just copy the Zoom link. As you see it at the top of the chat, and as mentioned, come over there and join one of the rooms.
So click breakout rooms below and join the room number. Yeah. And she's gone into the room. So that's just us here. Give me 5 seconds break and look at the board. Yeah, because hey, we're 2.5 hours completely moderating, you know. And we had some guys like, no, I think Jeff and yeah. Check on the workshop. Everybody gone? Everybody gone? Oh, that's something. No, but I think as the debate started, in the end, it started to get pushy. Yeah, but I think that's one of the issues which we have. We always talk about. We don't talk really about what's going on.
Yes, I wanted to come back because I saw a few people still here in the sessions. Are you having trouble joining the Zoom? So the Zoom link is posted at the top of the chat. So I see here Jesse, Sophia, Lorena, but maybe they're just remained here because Anna is here as well, and I think that, yeah, and then she's gone. These just may be people who remained. Anyway, I'm let's stay here in Airmeet. So if I'll just make that point. So if you are listening, if you are here, let us know you should be in.
I am listening to you.
Right.
Now, maybe let us know you should, yeah.
I can't hear
Do
you
you
now.
see how many people are in which room at
Can't
the
hear
moment?
you. Talk now. Now I hear you. I think. Can you hear me? Okay. So yeah, it was a real debate. I would not be hugely surprised if one of them asked us not to go live with it or not to share it publicly.
That's okay. I think Luke was fun in the end with his approach, but I think, yeah, I agree that we sometimes say this and this, but on the other hand, you have the same complaints by the engineers. So it also tells me the kind of approach. It's an interesting approach. I learned a lot about the thinking of those doing the approach.
I definitely will need to rewatch it.
Yeah.
And so we have one of the people in the breakouts and who was here for the talk and for this whole thing is program director at one of the big pharma companies for an entire safe implementation. So I'm really happy to have them because I think they'll be able to take back good learning, and also it's great to have their inputs.
Yeah, but I was wondering what I would have loved. Gustus coming in.
Oh, and he's gone.
He left again. But
yeah.
No, but I was thinking in the beginning I tried to bring them back to the UX topic because but I think that was good summary by Susan. I think probably they don't really have a plan for it.
Yeah, and I liked, you know what? I fully appreciated and liked the input. And I'm saying again, because I see a few people sometimes popping up here. If you just arrived, let us know, and we'll send you to one of the breakouts. But yeah, that both Jeff and Luke basically at the end said that not the same words, but that UX, Q&A, and all, you know, a lot of different disciplines, they often think like they are saying again and again that they can't make the change within the organization that they wish to be able to make. And Luke brought the example of the Q&A. Josh specifically pointed out UX. I think he's right.
What, Jeff?
Jeff.
With what? With
saying that UX is trying to make a change all the time, but can't in the organization, can't make the change happen.
Yeah. No, but I was just wondering what could have been driven. But okay, as Luke didn't take the point, because we were friendly in a way, also in the introduction, Luke didn't take the point to really explain and listen, I think, somehow. But I'm not sure.
I think he initially didn't, but then sort of got around to it a bit. But here's the thing, I really don't like the real American way of like fully, agreeing all the time. And I really like the debate that came out of it. It was real, it was raw, it was good. They were both smart, they had both really good points. This is what it's all about.
And we push them to that, because I push people to that story with my not specific questions. No, I think I have to. The thing is that they didn't want to be. Yeah, I have to think about. For me, it was one topic was too high flying on a level. Like, hey, come on, what are we doing here now at the level of?
Yeah, but this was our idea, right? That we start wide and we come down narrow by the time we get to the workshops or to the breakout. Sorry.
Yeah. So you said you never saw people discussing so. Let's see.
Honestly, I don't remember from the top of my head a situation where there really was an actual debate.
Okay. So Leo writing there are only 3, right?
Yeah.
So you say it is so he can also join another room. So
if they want to disperse, then sure. If they came to did they come to some kind of not conclusion maybe, but some topics, maybe something that they can collect and refer and reference.
Or should I quickly go into his room?
Yeah, sure. Drop in there.
I'm gonna join his room.
Okay.
What's his number 2, huh?
It's number 2. Yes. I can assign you there.
Yeah. So, but that's okay.
You're there. You should be there. Yeah.
So we have double switched. So.